Hey there guys, what's going on? It's Gale right here, back on the 5-9 channel, and today we're here to give you a sort of guide to the ESBR stages that have just dropped on Global. And today with me, we have Saito. Say hello.
Was good.
Alright. So, for those of you wondering, we are just going to be discussing like the teams we took, the potential changes we would have done had we had certain units maybe as well, and so on and so forth. And this video will in particular only go up to stages 15, so from 11 to 15. We will be doing 16 to 20 in another video, so be sure to check that video out when it does come out. But let us get right into stage 11, which was the super class only stage. Now, Saito, how did you go about doing super class?
So there is a wide variety of teams you could potentially use. You definitely could use like things like Kamehame, Final Trump card, or Hybrid Sands. And I went with the approach of Hybrid Sands because they're defensive saturated, and every last one of them is a powerhouse except one. One of them is for the seal or the stun type. But basically, my team, we have the Tech Gohan, lots of defense on that board. Hits the event really hard, and by the time you come to that second rotation, you're golden. You're taking almost double digits. I go with the physical Gohan approach. He has damage reduction. Basically, he doesn't take too much damage, but he's a floater type unit up to per se. I brought STR Ultimate Gohan, same thing. He can get guard. Is only a chance. It's a gamble. But when you pair him with Tech Gohan, you're activating all those links, and you're benefiting the unit that's really going to be shining on that rotation. And Trunks, changes orbs, gets defense off of it. He can, if I'm not mistaken, he has either potential to seal or stun. I can't remember off the top of my dome, but he hits the event pretty hard as well. And he also has decent defense. Gohan has the same thing with with Gohan. He has to stack, but once he's stacked, he's golded. And then we have the new unit that we just recently got, the Gohan and Trunks STR card from the Broly movie. He has the same thing, either seals or stun. I can't remember off the top of my head. He also stacks defense. So my team is defensive saturated with a lot of attack.
That's completely fair. I, on the other hand, went for a slightly different route. Everybody would have been like, like Saito said, Final Trump card, Kamehameha, Hybrid Saiyans, like he's done, of course. And initially, I was also going to go down the Hybrid Saiyans route, but I don't know what happened to me or when I did this run, but I did it quite early on, and it must have been quite late in the night when I did it. Because I went for Goku's family instead, and I went for an extremely wonky version of Goku's family. So as you can probably see on your screens right now, I have taken Gobros as my leader, which obviously I kind of should have gone for SSJ for Goku, purely because if he's off floating or he's in the second slot, he would have just gotten his massively raises defense and would have probably not taken that much damage. But here we are. I did take a Tech Ultimate Gohan, not a surprise. I think everybody would be expecting that. Of course, I took High School Gohan, a huge aid in the team, especially with 2 dupes in him. He's able to additional quite a lot and get that stun off if he didn't get it the first time. Spirit Bomb Goku, he was a bit of a damage dealer more so than anything defensive, right? So, a bit tricky there, but really helps out quite a bit. B-Pan was another unit that I decided to take in order to get my healing going on as well whenever she's on rotation, and she's able to get that going off. Plus, of course, her active skill popping off and giving me that 33% attack, finishing off stages and fights, I should say, really quickly if need be. Especially when I'm at a risky stage where I could potentially lose if I don't kill. And then, of course, Int SSJ2 Goku, who was probably the weak point of this team, but unfortunately I couldn't think of anything else to bring in this sort of like Goku's family sphere, I should say. At least not that a unit that I have personally. And then, of course, as a friend leader, I decided to take the new GT Goku, who surprisingly, I think this one I took was with a single dupe. Really solid overall, even though he does get his attack on super attack and stuff, because of the factor that he was potentially floating with the pan, and whenever the pan would come on rotation, it would just be super good because he'd get that defense as well, right? Because of the GT Heroes buff he gets, right? So overall, a very solid team. Obviously, you can see the disparity in time and how much more time I took because I spent more time thinking about my steps and making sure I would get the damage off. And plus, High School Gohan, B-Pan, these guys don't do that much damage, right? They probably do like 500k, 600k when these guys have like millions and millions of HP, sorry. So there could have been something else I could have gone there. I mean, like Saito said, I probably should have gone for Hybrid Saiyans and maybe could have done what he did. Basically, I would have probably struggled because I don't have the STR trunks, right? But I could just replace it with High School Gohan, and it's just
Yeah.
as good of a slot, right? But yeah, anything you would advise to change in my team personally, Saito? You think? I mean, considering the absolute scam I managed to do with this
Hey
team,
man,
basically.
look, if your team made it, your team made it. I personally wouldn't change nothing about your team. Team seems well rounded. Same thing goes with my team. There's probably 2 changes I probably would have made in my team, probably would have made it easier, but it depends on if you have that unit. Not a lot of people own particular units in the game, but if I were to change any 2 units on my team, I probably would have definitely replaced STR Gohan, and probably in Trunks, I probably could have definitely replaced them with 2 better units, such as the High School Gohan. I mean, I should have brought him, and I have him. Why I didn't do it? The old man, no, he's a defensive monster. I could have saved so many item consumptions. And probably for Trunks, I probably would have brought in Gotenks. When he transforms, he just becomes absolute machine. So those are probably the only 2 changes I probably would have made to my team.
I mean, we'll come on to Ingo Tanks in a couple of stages, I should say. But yeah, Ingo Tanks is also another huge addition to a Hybrid Saiyan team. In terms of Goku's family, like I mentioned, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now that's making me go like, yeah, maybe I should have brought that unit. For the most part, I feel like I did the right thing in bringing the units I did at this moment in time. Actually, if there's any unit that I could have probably brought additionally, maybe Future Gone, but again, because you're trying to get one of each type, right, and super class, it can become a very tricky situation because some teams don't have like a unit, a type of unit that's really good, right? So like off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of a category that's weak in one typing particularly. I guess we could say maybe I'm trying to think of a team. Let me think of a team. Maybe fusions, I suppose, with AGL, arguably, because
fusions.
Because AGL Gogeta, while he's good, right, he's still outdated. If he takes a hit, he's going to die probably. So I guess AGL for fusions is a good point to go for. Maybe on the physical side, of course, Fizz SSJ3 Gotenks' EZA is around the corner for global, right? But currently, physical can be a bit of a problem, especially because while LR Fizz Gogeta is a thing, he doesn't necessarily link well with the rest of the team, right? And that's where the problem starts to creep up for physical and fusion, right? So that may be an example, I guess is the best way to put it, right? So Saito, let's move on to Extreme. Now, Extreme is a bit more interesting because I personally didn't know which direction to go with Extreme, in my opinion, right? I wasn't entirely sure what to do with it, but let me know what you did with Extreme. Let's start off with you.
Alright, so for Extreme, I think I went the Terrifying Conqueror Wicked Bloodline type route. Of course, I ran the dual cooler because there was going to be one either there was going to definitely be some Pure Saiyans or some Hybrid Saiyans on there, and Cooler was going to shine. He'll still take a bit of damage. You were definitely going to have to bring items, but he was going to shine. In free to play Frieza, the which saga is it from?
Namek Saga. It's from
Namek Saga. Thank you. And absolute defensive machine as long as there's a what is it, a Goku or a Pure Saiyans?
Yes.
Okay.
That is exactly the case.
And also same thing goes with Tech Raditz. When he's going up against a Goku unit, dude defense is just out of this world, and not only that, he gets that free stun for any rotation that there is a Goku unit there. If he's as long as he's there, he's taking hits, he's stunning, guaranteed. No questions there. Of course, we have the same thing with the physical Golden Frieza, the transforming one. He can reduce damage after he takes a hit, has potential to stun or still, depending if you have him transformed or not. And overall, he has a free dodge as well. And overall, he's a tank machine as well. And I brought AGL Golden Frieza. He ain't there for damage. We all know why he's there. Tank. And Cooler there. He's there for the basic Senzu being basically less item consumption, overall raw power, and minor defense.
I assume you meant incel there. You said Cooler. I was confused.
I said Cooler? Oh, man. Yo, I mean Cell. You thought you'd never see me again, didn't you? But too bad. Let me stop. Look, I meant to say Cell, so I'm going to put some respect on your name. That's why I went.
You're good. Now, that's actually a very interesting team. Very Wicked Bloodlines heavy, but it actually works out really well. The stun, steal, like you mentioned, right? A lot of damage reduction from, of course, the AGL Golden Frieza, helps out. And then, of course, like you said, Incel. I think if you have if a stage can run in Cell, you're gonna probably bring him because you're gonna probably go under 30% HP and you're probably gonna get it back. So it's always a huge plus to bring Cell, because even I did the same. I did bring Cell, but my team was completely different to yours apart from Cell and AGL Golden Frieza. So what I did was I brought in physical Broly as my leader, so full power and
With
movie
full
bosses,
power.
of course. Yep.
Okay.
And then we did bring LR Broly, of course. You know, his EZA coming in on global early as well, at the same time
truck.
as JP. You know, gotta get that AoE attacks going all around the circle, basically. And then we had in Cell, like mentioned, of course, AGL Golden Frieza, really, really kind and really, really strong, of course, especially defensively. And then we did. This is where things get interesting. I brought STR Omega Shenron. He's on full power. He supports full power, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he obviously lowers the enemy's attack and defense, which is a huge plus. Or I think it's only attack, actually. Sorry. Stand corrected. It's only attack. But that's what he does. And then I've brought in DKP as well. Of course, he's an orb changer. Really helps out the team as well, because sometimes, you know, it can be finicky, you know, especially on the other rotation. You know, the Brolys together, they link well. They link somewhat well. Whereas the other rotation can struggle for key and stuff, especially because of how diverse my team is in terms of characters and link sets, right? So that's where DKP kind of helps out. Plus, he has his transformation, heals up and whatnot, and Cell, of course, is there for the free Senzu. Overall, in my opinion, really well-made team. I mean, you can. My time was 17 minutes, or 16 minutes 59 seconds, basically 17 minutes. So really solid team overall, I think. A bit heavy on the item consumption, I will admit, even though we had the incel as well as the KP and stuff like that. But overall, you know, getting that AoE attacks going off and whatnot consistently, especially with LR Broly, 10 out of 10. Like, I cannot recommend LR Broly enough. If you have LR Broly, make sure to easy him, awaken him. He is not the unit he once used to be, where he would just die after hitting somebody and then getting hit back, right? So overall, big positives from my end. On your side, to be honest, Saito, I think yours was a lot more safer, but it worked out just as well, arguably. Like you said, you know, if you can clear it, you can clear it, right? No matter how long it takes, right? But yeah, what do you think about my team, Saito?
Yo, hey man, look, you brought Broly, and honestly, I probably would have done this if I would have built a team for him. I probably would have brought the DKP. Doesn't he get like is it 40 or 50 damage reduction when he gets tech orbs and he already changes?
I think so. Yes.
To begin with?
I think
DKP
so, yes.
sounds like a really good option, and I probably should have done that.
Yeah.
Your team was really unique. I really like your team.
Yeah, I think there's other ways we could have also gone about it, like both of us personally. Like, I personally could have, I don't know if you have obviously LR boot tanks, but LR boots, you could go for a full Majin boot team. Because
actually, no.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
No, I actually don't. I plan on getting them. I see where you're going right there. That team just doesn't die and has a lot of defense to begin with.
They recover HP every turn as well and whatnot. It's really good. But the thing is, you and I are like kind of the opposite. You don't have LR boot tanks. I don't have LR STR Vegito. Like, we're both in the same situation. But yeah, basically, Saito mentioned, you know, Tech DKP's damage reduction when he gets 5 or more key spheres. It's really good, right? But yeah, I think that's extreme class. Like we mentioned, you know, there's alternative methods we could have gone. Margin power is of course one. Power absorption, same thing basically. Very similar teams. And then of course you could have probably gone for a full Wicked Bloodline Saito. Actually, you know, thinking about it.
Matter of fact, there's another one. What is it? Planetary Destruction.
Planetary Destruction would have been a good choice as well. There's a lot of characters in that category. But I was thinking, why didn't you consider taking maybe AGL Metal Cooler potentially for the transformation?
See, I would have thought about taking AGL Metal Cooler because he also has, whenever he gets attacked, he gains defense. I feel like in ESBR, he still gets hit way too hard. I didn't attempt it, but I feel like I would have to waste a whole lot more items. My defensive items extra early.
Yeah, that's fair. But because I was just thinking, like, obviously, you know, Giant Form is a category that we will inevitably get on ESBR, right? So I wanted to see how he might have done on Extreme Class to compare, like, okay, what's going to happen in Giant Form, you know? But yeah, that's still a very good team in my opinion. I think we've both done a fantastic job there. Let's move on to Fusions. Now, Fusions is where things gets a bit interesting, because Fusions is, I think, one of the more, like I mentioned at the start of in regards to the situation we had with fusions and like its lack of options, and it is noticeable in my opinion. Like I was racking ways around trying to see if I could make anything particularly different. There was not really that much different I could have done. Like I personally took, I'm not gonna even front, I took the team straight from Truth's no item team basically that he took, and what I did was I took STR Gogeta in Gogeta, in Ghost Tanks, in Gotenks, in Gogeta, and AGL Gogeta. Now this team, as I mentioned, very good, but the problem is it's too int heavy, right? And a lot of times it could become a huge problem, especially when Fizz opponents are on the field, and Gotenks of course doesn't transform until the third turn, so he's taking damage in the first when if he's on the first turn, it's going to probably kill him. So there was a lot of item consumptions here anyways, but thankfully, you know, the additionals that came in clutch from Gotenks when he transforms, Gogeta dodging in the last slot, very, very useful, plus his potential to get additionals as well, very, very good. And then obviously int SJ for Gogeta is a god, right? I don't think I could have done any better than this. In Gogeta's easy as well is a huge, I feel like people underrate in Gogeta's easy kinda to an extent. People don't talk about it as much as they talk about, like, say, Super 17s or anything of that sort. I think in Gogeta's probably one of the better 120 EZAs we've had in ever since they've come out. I think it's probably like one of my favorite EZAs. But yeah, Saito, what about you? How did you go about your journey to completing Fusion only?
I think we had the same team.
No, I think there's a difference. You took LR Fizz Gogeta. I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah, I took LR Fizz, I did dual Fizz Gogeta, I took STR Gogeta, I took Int Gotenks, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, AGL Gogeta, and Int Gogeta. So it was like minor differences, but it's not too different.
Yeah, I think the only difference is, like you said, you brought in Fizz Gogeta, I brought in Ghost Tanks basically, and put STR Gogeta as my leader instead. I think yours is actually to an extent also, like the only issue I would have said, like, you know, when we were talking about the whole thing of typings and whatnot, Fizz Gogeta just doesn't link right with a lot of the units on the team well enough, at least in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the problem comes and crops up quite a bit in my opinion. But again, he has a much better leader skill arguably, right? Compared to the STR Gogeta. So that's where you kind of benefit as well. But Ghost Tanks also stuns. So it's kind of like, you know, there's a little bit of that, you know, do you want to take this or do you want to take that basically, right? Because I don't think
basically
beyond these two teams, I don't know if there's any other option per se. Actually, there is one. STR Gotenks. What about that one? STR Super Saiyan Gotenks. He's a good option. Did you consider
I heard he was a really good option, but I do not think I own the card.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I don't own the card or I haven't worked on him yet, or he's not ready yet for me personally. So I was like, I'm not gonna see if I know this team works because I've seen Truth run this team so many times on stream, right? And I was like, if this doesn't work, then yeah, maybe I might have to, you know, draft him in kind of. But I think this team does a good job. Like I said, you know, STR Gotenks I guess is a great option for people if they don't have one of the units that is on our teams basically. But yeah, I think that's Fusion. There's not much we can add on about Fusion because it's a very straightforward category. There's not many changes you can do to the category per se. So I guess we can just move on to the next one, which is another category.
Hold that thought. Hey, if you're doing fusions, I'm gonna be honest with you. You gotta hear me out on this. You gotta let hope and let Dokkan, because man, it's gonna be a rough ride for you.
Yeah, it is a very tricky stage. It's a very tricky stage.
There is dang near no defense on this team. You're running off sheer power. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got to let go and let Dokkan. And I wish you the best luck if you're struggling. I promise. I wish you the best luck. If you get it done, you already know what's good.
I mean, he's not wrong on that.
You can go now.
All right. But yeah, no, we're gonna jump into another category that's somewhat limited, but a lot easier, and that's Shadow Dragon Saga. Now, Shadow Dragon Saga is in my opinion, a very interesting option. Saito, run me through yours first.
All right, let me break it down. Of course, dual Gogeta lead, one of the best units in the game. When he supers, he takes almost no damage, okay? And he already hits you hard with the potential chance to counter with tremendous power if the dude's about to super you. Remember that. Yeah. Them counters, they come in clutch. I brought Shinron to lower the attack to take even less damage. I'll make sure, even though I was off rotating him, my units basically had decent defense already to take hits, which lowers that item consumption for harder stages when you move on to 2 to the 3 to the very end. Oceana is still stunned, lowers their attack if I'm not mistaken, so she takes less damage depending on where you have her on the slot. And then I brought STR Vegeta. When you get his 18 key, you're getting defense. Also has a chance to counter with a tremendous power. It's straightforward with Vegeta. He can still get hit pretty hard if he takes a super, but hey, you gotta pray for that counter. And for some odd reason, I brought Tech Full Power Goku. It's only because I didn't own the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I probably would have took that.
Ooh, okay, fair enough. I mean, there's obviously, we have to also consider, mind you guys, that obviously the STR Super Saiyan 4 Goku wouldn't be accounting for this because he's not part of the Shadow Dragon Saga. He's from the Baby Saga, right? But the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is coming, so I'm gonna just put that out there immediately right now that he might be a potential better option than STR Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta.
100%.
Potentially. I mean, we don't know what they're gonna do, right? But it's very likely that he can completely outpace the STR SSJ 4 Vegeta, at least for events like the Shadow Dragon Saga category and ESBR stages particularly. So, let me go through my team now. So, my team is kind of similar to yours. You know, the double Gogeta lead, obviously STR Omega, very easy option. Int Oceanus, very good option again. STR SSJ for Vegeta. And, of course, I had the AGL SSJ for Goku, instead, compared to your full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. But the only difference in the team that's, I would say, kind of big is you took the physical Nova Shenron.
Yes.
I took the tech one for the support. So that's where I think the difference came in. And I can even tell that there might have been a bit of either it was your full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Fizz over Nova that was causing you to take more items, because I'm seeing your items used, right? Compared
Believe
to mine,
it or not,
which will need to, I only used 3 items in total, whereas you nearly used all of your items pretty much, right? So I think there might have been a bit of that potentially, but go ahead. What you want to add?
The thing is, I didn't have to waste a Senzu. I used the Senzu out of precaution. I remember like it was just yesterday. Theoretically, I would have only had to use one item, which was an Usher, because I knew there was because I had it was the beginning of a rotation, and I had full power Goku in that rotation. It was scaring me.
Yeah,
Shenron actually was the carry on my team.
Yeah. Which one?
Wait, which the physical, the physical Nova Shenron was the carry.
Gotcha.
Because as long as I'm going up against a Shadow Dragon enemy, I get defense. I got power, and he will take absolutely no damage. Very
true. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a very bad. I mean, Shadow Dragon Saga ESBR, that's where Fizz Nova Shenron actually is a very good place to bring him in. I just personally went with Tech Nova because I was like, he's just doing a bunch of things, right? He's supporting. He's giving allies key and attack and defense, and I was like, you know what, I think I kind of prefer that to physical Nova. And I don't think I had physical Nova at the time. I recently just pulled him off the GT Goku banner, I think it was, because I'm still going in on that banner personally. But I mean, I still haven't got him. I got Vegeta in my discount, but Goku is not coming home, so sadly. But yeah, Tech Nova is, in my opinion, still a really good option. But like I personally think as well, just generally, like having Int Oceanus and STR Omega on like one rotation together, game, set, and match, genuinely, they're so good together. And Int Oceanus, like you mentioned, like, you know, she supers so many times. She seals, has the chance to stun. There's so much going on with her that she's so good. And then the rest of the team, I mean, it's self-explanatory, so I don't think that's an issue at all. Again, this is a very limited category. You can't diversify from this that much. But like I mentioned, you know, the AGL Super Saiyan for Vegeta, we know he's coming. We know how good he's going to be, right? Potentially. Or at least he's gonna get to a point where if you don't have STR Super Saiyan for Vegeta, he is a very good option nonetheless, right? So keep an eye out on that. If you don't have STR Super Saiyan for Vegeta and you need an extra unit on the team, AGL Super Saiyan for Vegeta is getting his EZA soon. You'll be able to clear it with that, I think. But let's move on to the final stage of this round, or this video, I should say, or this set of stages, and that's Peppy Gals. Now, this is a very interesting one to wrap up on, because Peppy Gals for me was a bit of an intriguing one, considering Saito and I were discussing this before the video started, and
y'all gonna be baffled what y'all about to hear.
There's quite a bit of a difference between our teams. It's kind of very interesting. So Saito, let's go through your team first, because your team is a bit more normal compared to
it's
mine.
normal, all right? Hear me on the... Y'all just ain't gonna believe his team. Look, so I brought dual and Ribrianne, you know, casual, event, done, set match. You got him, you got him. STR, Kellen Cauliflower, one rotation, guaranteed guard. You got a Saiyan unit or a Universal Valve Saga unit. I'm on a truck and, you know, guaranteed guard. All right, even if you don't have the guarantee guard at 70% dodge, that's UI Goku status. Of course, physical launch right there to lower attack and defense, and she's going to super a multitude of times while also benefiting herself. Okay, and now I brought Kellen Cauliflower. They basically, as long as there's a Pure Sans unit, they'll get a couple additionals. Have relatively decent defense. They're supering a lot, but they're not doing too much damage unless you actually have like a multitude of dupes in them. They're just they're basic. And I brought STR Kefla. Why? I just filled up the slot with her. I probably should have brought in Oceanus, but you know, it didn't cross my mind. But there's my team. Now look, Gail, go ahead, please tell them your team.
All right, so I don't have LR, Kale, and Caulifla, so that was not an option, right? I do have Kale and Caulifla, the SR and Tech ones. I do have Kefla as well. I didn't bring any of them. What I did was I brought obviously the double Intribrian lead. That's obvious, right? I did bring in Oceanus, of course. Launch I did bring. AGL Caulifla. Now that's where things get a bit interesting, of course. And then I brought SCR Chi-Chi. Of course, she supports the entire rotation. 3 key as well as 120% defense to Peppy Gal allies, which is great. And then, of course, I had to bring in Int Videl. Now, this is where it would be like, why Int Videl? What is wrong with you? She lowers attack and defense. She recovers damage dealt, 20% of your damage dealt as HP, which is great. She is good. She gets attack and defense per Peppy Gal's ally, which is great. You know, your whole team is Peppy Gal, so I'd assume she'd get that full, passive going. Overall, it did the job. It did the job. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It did the job. Of course, of course, I may have had some close encounters. I'm not gonna front. Especially when I may have forgotten to lower somebody's attack. In one turn, it probably did like 50,000 damage per hit, but we'll ignore that fact, and I still managed to get the job done. All right, so I'll take it as a huge dub. I mean, it does, like, for me personally, I think Chi-Chi wasn't the worst option. She seals and does the defense. The only thing I would have probably changed on my team, like I said, was that last slot with Infidel. I wasn't sure what to go with. I was trying to think of, like, other options, figuring out, like, maybe is there some way I could have gone potentially that could have, been a bit better. But I just couldn't think of anything else that would have affected the rest of the team because, of course, Kale and Caulifla, especially because the last stage didn't have a Pure Saiyans, right? If it had a Pure Saiyans, I would have probably just taken Tech Caulifla and called it a day there, right? Because she'll dodge anytime there's a Pure Saiyans on the field. The first and second stage has a Pure Saiyan. First stage has Goku, or first fight, I should say, has Goku. Second fight has Vegeta. But the third fight doesn't have a Pure Saiyan. It has Roshi. I think it's like
Roshi, Mutaito, and
No. It has Roshi, Krillin, and Yamcha. Mutaito is in Realm of Gods. So
that was Realm of Gods?
Yeah, that's the fight 2 in Realm of Gods.
It just haunts me.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I can agree with you. That second stage haunts me as well. I mean, Realm of Gods in general haunts me. But I personally think this team did a fantastic job for the most part. Again, if there was any other option, I would have said could have been good for a lot of players. And I think this is a great way of saying it as well. Is like, this is great that they also helped out free-to-play players as well. Taking Rosie, Kakunza, and STR Ribrianne potentially, the Easy 8 forms of them, right? What do you think about that side, or the trio free-to-play Easy A's that we just got on Global a couple of months back, right? How do you think they would have fared in this stage?
In the regular one, I know they do pretty good, but in this one, I would have to test them out. Honestly, I wouldn't even know. I think you'll still waste a lot of items by the time you get to your second stage. I'll have to test it.
We have to remember they do stack up, right? They do stack in their super attack, right? So they will inevitably get to a point where you're gonna do it, but it's gonna be such a slow progress, right?
It's like a slow.
I mean, you can see by Saito's time, 30 minutes. I don't have my time because the screenshot I took for my team was in the deck screen rather than the record screen, which is my bad. But even I took, I think, around 40 minutes with my team. I was just going super slow. Like, if you were to take the free-to-play units, you're probably going to take upwards of an hour, probably, or around an hour, right? It's just such a slow stage, right? Like, it's partially because, of course, Ribrianne's only a 120 lead, right? So yeah, that's a big issue. Of course, once Videl comes out, it's going to become a lot faster, right? Saito, I
Yeah.
think that's not even a question.
That's not even a question.
Yeah, we shouldn't even be considering it. It's going to be so quick. So yeah, if you don't want to finish it off right now, I think it's fair. You know, we know Videl is coming around the corner, I'd say. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say around the corner, because we're probably going to get Goten and Trunks in like June for Global, and then we'll probably get Videl after the anniversary, right? So it's going to be a bit of a wait. I mean, I guess you can say it's kind of around the corner. So
it's like a couple of months.
3 months. We'll say 3 months, right? 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
You're going to have to wait for a couple of months, but inevitably there's going to be an option for you to clear this super easily. So if you want to consider waiting, that's also an option. But yeah, any final thoughts and additions you want to add on any of the stages we discussed, Saito, before we wrap up?
No, that's about it.
All right, beautiful. That's about it from
Dokkan.
us. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, these stages, like we said, stages 13 to 15 didn't necessarily have much options, so you're kind of restricted with what you have. Again, we're hoping, you know, especially with them doing more GT stuff, potentially more fusion related stuff down the line with movies, and the GT stuff that they're doing right now on Dokkan will help buff these teams up. But we'll have to wait and see how it goes about it, right? But yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this mini guide, sort of, leave a like, and of course subscribe for more Dokkan content. From Saito and I, we will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy, everybody.
Bye.